I'm going to share with you guys some cool tips and tricks to take amazing photos with your iPhone 12. Check this out. What's up guys, Myung here from Camera to Freedom, and I just want to share with you guys on how to take amazing photos with your iPhone 12. Now, the camera in the iPhone 12 is super amazing. It's very advanced. There's 4 cameras on this iPhone 12, 3 in the back, super wide, regular wide, portrait, and then of course the selfie camera in the front. So I'm just gonna go over with you guys some of the things that you should know to take some amazing photos. First thing that you should know when you open up your camera is that there is 3 different zoom modes, right? Which uses the 3 different lenses that's in the back of this phone. The first one, the default one, is 1x, and that uses the best lens. And this is at aperture 1.6, so meaning that in a dark room like this, it brings in the best natural light. So anytime you're shooting in a place where it's dark or night or outside or anything like that, you want to always use that 1x mode because it uses the best lens. First selection that's on the left side is 0.5, and that's the ultra wide angle lens. This is great for landscape photos. It's pretty much great for just landscape photos, or if you're taking a group photo and you need that super wide because you don't really have that much distance for you to scoot back and you want to try to get everybody in the shot, then that's another good way to use this lens too. But just know that because it's super wide, there's a distortion. You might see it where if you use the super wide angle, the face gets distorted if it's aimed too high, the leg gets distorted if it's aimed too low. So you want to always make sure that the people that you take photos of, they're kind of like in the middle of the shot. There's like a rule of thirds, right? If you were to split it in 3, you want to keep them inside that little bracket so that way they're the least distorted. So that's what you want to do with that. So now the 2.5 is zoomed in using the third lens. That it's not a digital zoom, it actually zooms in naturally, using the lens to zoom in to get your shot. So this is only good for close-up shots of objects. Like let's say maybe you want to take some food shots, right? It looks great zoomed in instead of having to try to put your phone real close to the food with the other zoom mode. So you want to use 2.5 for taking photos of objects, but also taking photos of portraits of people. Just, if you want to crop them, just like chest up, waist up. So that's what you want to use. But if you really want to take it to the next level and you want to photograph people, you definitely want to go with portrait mode. Now the portrait mode is amazing because it has an artificial way of creating a depth of field. So the main reason why, we love professional camera is because of the fact that we could use lenses, prime lenses, for example, to create blurry background shots. And that's what kind of separates from like a phone photo to a professional camera photo. It has an amazing, they call it a bokeh. The background gets super creamy and blurry, and it separates the person from the background, almost like a 3D effect. And that's what a professional camera does. My wife hates it because she does all the photo editing, and because the background is so blurry and she's sitting there for hours, she feels like her vision is getting blurry. So she really hates those kinds of photos because of that. But that's what professional cameras are good for, and that's what separates it. So the great thing about this iPhone is that it has that feature. Now it's an artificial way of doing it because it captures the person, it knows the outline of a person, and it separates the background and blurs out the background. So to have fun with bokeh, if you look at the top right of the screen under portrait mode, there's an F icon. F is for aperture, and aperture controls how big the hole opens in your lens. And the bigger it is, the more blurry the background is. So just forget that technology, part of it. So you want to click on F, and you can start with f2.8. And you can have fun with it. You can see that if you were to scroll the meter on the bottom all the way down to 1.4 and aim it at person, then you'll see how blurry, super blurry the background gets. And then if you were to go all the way to f16, you can then see how clear the background is. So now you have control on how much blurriness you want on the background. And that's what kind of separates, like I said, a professional looking photo to a regular phone photo. So I personally don't like the f1.4 in the phone because the blurriness, it's like a fake blurriness, so it's not pleasing to the eye. It just looks super blurry, super fuzzy. So you kind of want to find a medium, right? So a good 2.8, maybe 3.5 or something like that. Just you could pick the one that you prefer, and then when you take a photo of a person, you get that awesome blurry background and get that professional looking photo. So play around with that. That's very cool. All right, so another cool trick that you should know with the iPhone is that I've seen a lot of people out there taking photos of, like, let's say just the other week, I saw a woman trying to take a jump shot of their family, and she's trying to catch it at the right time and kept having problems trying to catch them in the middle of their jump. And of course, it's a lot tougher because your phone doesn't react as fast as our DSLR mirrorless camera does, right? With our professional camera, you could click and instantly captures them jumping in midair. But with a phone, there's a delay, so you kind of lose your timing, or you have to learn the timing. The best way to do it is go into your camera and go into either photo mode or portrait mode, but let's go photo mode when it comes to capturing the jump shots. And then what you do is, instead of just clicking onto the shutter button to take the photo, you just slide it to the left. So don't hold it down and then slide it, just instantly touch it and slide it to the left and just hold it there on the left side. And then you will see it taking photos in a rapid pace. And the longer you hold it, the more photo it'll take. So boom, you take the photo, they're moving around, and then you could stop when the movement is done. Great thing about the iPhone is that it doesn't, if you were to have taken like 20 photos of that, it doesn't separate all 20 photos and now you have to like shuffle through it. If you go into your library, it saves it as one photo. And when you go into that one photo, you could then see all the 20 photos that you've taken and then pick the best one. So that's really cool to know. Another cool feature with that sliding effect is that when you're in photo mode and realize that you want to get a video of what's going on, then you just slide it to the right. Then instantly it becomes a video mode. It saves you a little bit of time. You could easily swipe to left, go to video, and then record, but you could save a step simply by just sliding to the right if there's a special moment that you want to capture. So a couple features that you should also know is that on the top right, there's a little icon that says RAW on it. In case you didn't know what RAW photo is, it's what our professional DSLR mirrorless cameras capture. It's a huge photo file size. It captures information from the darkness to the lightness. So let's say by chance you took a photo and it came out kind of dark. Well, it saves information on how bright it could have been, or if it's so bright, or if it's too bright, it'll save the information on how dark the photo could have been. So it saves a spectrum of dynamic range. It's amazing that if you were to have taken a photo and the sky is blown out, you could easily bring that down and it'll save a lot of information of the sky, or vice versa. If it's really dark, it'll save the information and make it brighter naturally, not artificially, right? Because you could go into the setting, go to exposure, and then just make a regular JPEG photo brighter, but that's just, it kind of like, it's an artificial way of making it brighter, right? So the raw photo saves the real information and makes it bright as if your camera setting was in that proper setting. So that's really neat that it's got raw features, raw photos. Right side of that is a live icon, and by default it's on, but you could turn it off to save some space. But the cool thing about this is that you might not have known this, but it's really neat because every time you take a photo with the live on and then you shuffle through to look at your photo, you will see like a second of movement, right? So that's cool because you could actually go into the photo, edit, and on the bottom left, click on that circle live button. You'll be able to select within that 1 second of movement. It's similar to, taking rapid shutter movements, but it's not. It doesn't separate all those photos. It's just that 1 second video clip that you could actually extract a photo from. So that's really neat to have that on. It is on by default, so now you know what you can do with that live feature if you didn't already know. So another thing that is kind of important that a friend of mine mentioned to me was that they can't take the photo and upload it to a website that only accepts JPEG, right? So there's a real estate agents out there that tries to take photo with their phone. They can't upload it to the MLS site because the MLS site is strict on what you upload, and they only accept JPEGs. Luckily, Facebook, Instagram, and all these other popular sites, they take whatever you take. So any kind of photo you take, they will accept it. But special websites like MLS website will only accept JPEGs, and if that's the case, so what you do is you go to settings, then you go to camera. You could either scroll down or you could just type in camera on search and find that photo icon. Go into it. On the top it says formats. Go into that, and by default it has high efficiency. So that's the raw ability. That's the 1 second live ability. But if you want that JPEG, you just go to most compatible, and it becomes every photo that you take becomes JPEG. It's not the best quality, but you know it's simple. It's the lowest file size. It could upload to every kind of websites, and maybe that's more important than actually the quality of the photo. And that's what's so cool about the iPhone. It's a professional phone. It's a professional camera. You could literally take a photo of a full wedding with just your phone, and the client would probably not even know the difference between the iPhone photo and your professional mirrorless DSLR camera. So that's what's so great about this iPhone 12. If you use it right, you could get some amazing professional looking photos with this thing. So I'm going to put it back to high efficiency since I love the setting of all the photos that it gives you. All right, so my last thing that I want to talk about is the under portrait. It has on the bottom part a thing called natural light, and you could actually change it to studio light or contour light. The other modes I'm not a big fan of, stage light, stage mono light and key light. I don't think I'd ever use that, but it's cool that they have it. But the cool thing about studio light and contour light is that it smooths out your skin. It gives you an extra 5-10 years of your life if you want to get, smooth skin photos. There's a lot of apps out there, and I see a lot of people using it, but it kind of overdoes it. You could see it from a mile away, like, oh man, this person is using a heavy filter to smooth out their skin, and it's just too obvious, right? So you don't want to be too obvious. That's a key. As we're getting older, it's nice to just kind of look pleasant on some of our photos. Natural is good too. So I'm not knocking that at all. But, some of the people out there are more self-conscious, and that's totally fine. So you want to touch that little ball icon on the bottom from natural light, go to studio light, and see the difference. Take a photo of yourself before and after. The natural photo, you see a lot of pores. I got a lot of pores, so you just see it all over the place. But with the studio light mode and the contour mode, it kind of smooths it out a little bit, and that's kind of nice, I'm telling you. And so let's go over it. So here's the natural light, and you can kind of see all the pores that's in my face. Oh, how age has caught up to you, my boy. Okay, and then but you could click on the natural light and go to studio light. And look what it did. It's still there, but that's what's so great about it is that it, tries to make your skin a lot more natural looking. So it saves a little bit of the pore, but it does give it a nice little smoothness to your skin. So that's really cool. And you can see that in contour light. Oh, I kind of like that too. It makes the shadows a little darker, especially with my studio light over here. It kind of gives it a nice little subtle look. So I kind of like that. So you get to kind of mess with it. So when you do go into the contour light or the other mode, click on the arrow button on top, or like I said, slide up to reveal the settings on the bottom. And you will see the settings on the bottom. They're really cool. The third one, for example, is very important. It's a timer that allows you to take photos in 3 seconds, but we're going to go over that in 1 second. But let's go to the very fifth one. That's the contour light. That's the studio light control. So if you tap on it, mine is at 41. The higher you scroll, the more smooth your skin gets. I'm at 100. That's a little too much. That's a little too much smoothing. But, and then of course, let's say 0, you see all the, pimples and pores and oh my God, all stuff in my face. So let's go somewhere in the middle. Let's go 50, you know? Look at that. It just gave me another 5 years of my age. So that's really cool. So you want to try to use, this technique to get a nice, smooth skin photo compared to like using a third party app where it just makes you look really like plastic. So avoid that. Use this. All right. So just like I mentioned, on that bottom of that icon, there is that timer, and the timer is great. It's got 3 second selection or 10 second selection. So it's perfect if you are taking photos with your boy or with somebody, and you're taking a group photo and you need that timer on so you could have time to go run in there and be in the photo. Push the shutter button. You got 3 seconds before it goes off, and you could just put your phone in a perfect spot to get that selfie or to take that group photo with you in it. So that's really cool. So there's so many features in the iPhone, but I think that those are the very important things that you should know to really understand how to take good photos with your phone. I hope you got something out of it. If you have watched it all the way through, I appreciate you so much for that. Please hit the subscribe button, and I will see you next time.